Hey everyone, welcome to Weekly MTG. We've got a great show for you today. It's the Modern Horizons Prerelease Primer, and I'm joined by some very special guests, both from R&D and outside of the building. We've got Cassius Marsh, friend of the show. Welcome back, buddy.
What's going on, big dog?
Hey, man. We've got Ethan Fleischer and Mark Heggen from the Tabletop Studio. Gentlemen,
great to be here.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So, hey, it has started yet. Thank you, Twitch chat. So we are monitoring chat today. We are taking questions. I'll try to pepper them in as possible. I'm monitoring, and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can. But the order of the day today, talk about Modern Horizons pre-release. That's happening this weekend, June 8th and June 9th. Pre-release event for a supplemental set, for a non-standard set. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Usually we don't get to do this, but this one is particularly sweet and limited, so we thought it was important to give everyone a chance to get in there early and give it a try.
Yeah.
So of note, you can mostly we do sealed pre-releases,
right?
But in this one, you should check with your local game store, WPN store. You can do either draft or sealed for this pre-release, right?
Oh, that's really cool. It's something that we know some fans really love. They asked for it, and we thought, yeah, this is the chance. Let's mix it up a little bit. So, draft is available this weekend.
So I know, Cassius, you're super excited about this set.
Yeah. Oh,
we were talking before the camera started rolling, and
yeah.
You were just So we all have they've got the full set in their hands right now, so that we can reference cards and talk about them. But you were just going through this list and being like, oh man, this one's great, this one's great, this one's great.
There's just too much for obviously for Modern. There's so much there, but I mean, just for every set, the whole game in general, this set's pretty huge to me. I'm excited about a lot of different cards and putting them in a lot of different decks.
So for everybody out there, the pre-release is, of course, the first opportunity that you're going to have to open up these new cards, play with them, and add them to your collection. Very, very cool. Again, June 8th, June 9th, check with your local game store, your local WPN store, to see what events they're running and when. So if this is going to be your first pre-release, I definitely recommend that you check out the pre-release primer article on WeeklyMTG that Gavin Verhey did this morning. It'll tell you a little bit about how to build a deck from a sealed pool, how to draft, all of the basics that most Magic players that are watching this show will know by now. So we're not going to go through that. But what we are going to go through are the limited archetypes and some of the key cards to look out for in this set. Ethan, there are a lot of archetypes that you would never, ever see in a standard set. As your team was sort of developing these archetypes, what was the main goal for you?
Well, the goal for this was actually mostly the set design team that developed these limited archetypes. The vision team that I led, figured out what all the cool things are, and then the set design team kind of made it all fit together. And the limited archetypes are great because each one leads into the other, and each color overlaps the archetypes in such a way that you get lots of mechanical overlap. So if you're drafting, you're going to be fighting over cards. They don't just get slotted into one deck. So there's a lot of interesting deck building opportunities, and I think each draft is going to be very different.
Well, let's get to those archetypes. I know that you guys want to see them. And once again, please put your questions in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want to answer as many questions as we can. So let's get to those archetypes. We're going to start out with a personal favorite of mine, White Blue Blink. And as you can see, we've got some key cards here. Vesper Lark at uncommon, Soul Herder at uncommon, of course, Pondering Mage, a very nice throwback to Ponder, which debuted, I believe, in Core Set 2010, Magic 2010. So let's talk about this archetype.
It was Lorwyn originally.
Lorwyn, that's right. The art is from an homage to the M10 version.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean this is an archetype that is a little more advanced level. I wouldn't want to put this in a core set, and it's great here. You just blink your creatures to re-up on their enters the battlefield triggers or their leaves the battlefield triggers. And then, of course, these blink cards can also work with, when we get to the green-white archetype, it can work with your creature fall deck.
Right.
And then these cards with enter the battlefield or leave the battlefield triggers will work with our next archetype, the ninjas deck.
Yeah, this archetype is so much fun. There's cards, Mana Wars in this set.
That's
right. An amazing thing to bounce.
Yeah.
Ephemerate, which is you get to flicker something twice. I played this in our employee pre-release, and yeah, the idea of stacking up these ephemerates, pondering over and over,
getting your mana war over and over. There's nothing quite like it.
It really is the archetype for people who love value.
The Blake Rasmussen archetype, if I ever heard of one. Cash, have you ever played the Blink deck in different formats or anything like that?
Oh, I mean, I've got a rune deck, so I am all about the Blink. Like, I think it's to me one of the funnest, and it gets out of like if you're set up the right way, it gets out of control really fast, and you do get a ton of value from those ETB effects. So I mean, that's right up my alley. That archetype.
I mean, I want to see people go to Value Town, take the one-way train to Value Town on that Mana War with Ephemerate. I just want all I want to do is like see my opponents play a creature and then flicker my Mana War before the end of their turn. It's just like okay, so bounce that, comes back into play, rebound, bounce again. Like
You
it's just
enjoy the feeling of despair on their face, I take it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I enjoy the feeling on despair of on their face less than I enjoy the feeling of glee on mine.
right.
So you know, it's a fine line to walk. Let's take a look at the second archetype. That would be black blue ninjas.
Yep.
Haven't seen ninjas in quite some time. I think the last time we saw them in a recent Commander product, but certainly not in a limited set. It's been quite some time.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this was definitely one that I put in here for my own personal enjoyment. I love ninjas. I tried to make ninjas work in my cube, and there just weren't enough of them. So I was like, all right, well, I'm making this set where I can just do anything I want.
Right.
Let's put some ninjas in
It sounds
here.
like to me you basically like I know from last week Mark Rosewater on the episode that preceded this one said that you actually did take this opportunity to make almost anything that you wanted, including Ayula, the Bear Lord.
Yeah.
So you finally have your Bear Commander.
We had no limits here, and it was just like as long as it's something that we probably weren't going to put in a standard legal set anytime soon, it was fair game.
Right.
So we had we got to make some more ninjas finally.
Right. To me, the fact that ninjas is one of 10 things you can be doing when you're drafting the set is just like such a beautiful crystallization of the thing overall. Like, what a bonkers set where ninjas is just one of 10 options. It's amazing.
And it synergizes with so many things. That's the craziest part, right? Like, so you're looking at ninjutsu. For those who do not know what it does, we can pull up the graphic again so you can take a look at the ninjutsu ability on some of those cards. It's a ninjutsu cost, and then pay cost, return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. The idea being secretly it was a ninja the entire time. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Right. So the best thing to use with these are inexpensive evasive creatures, right? So you can get in there, bounce it to your hand, and then immediately replay it.
Right.
So there's a blue 1-drop fairy that's a 1/1 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, it scries 2. That is a very good thing to ninjutsu off of. Right. And then we have
It's really good.
It's really
there's a
good.
Tormented Changeling, which is a 1/1, can't block or be blocked for a single black mana.
Right.
And also it's a changeling, so it's a ninja. So if you have any ninja tribal rewards, they will affect it.
That one's not even secretly it was a ninja. It just was a
Just
ninja
was
the
a
entire
ninja.
time.
Everyone knew it was a ninja.
But yeah, that,
and it was also a brushwag.
But that the 1/1 fairy, that definitely demonstrates how things synergize across different archetypes, because that one's great in UW Blink as
Right.
well, right? I have very fond memories of ninjutsuing in Ninja of the Deep Hours back in Kamigawa block and drawing a card.
That was
It
the
just-
sweetest
oh,
one for sure.
feels so good.
I wish, honestly, I mean, I know you printed as many as you could, but I mean, the next shot that you get to print some more ninjas, just keep putting them out there, bro. Just like,
It's
I think there's never enough ninjas.
It's really, really cool. I'm a fan. Let's move on to our next archetype. This is one that I know Trick Jarrett is a fan of. This is Black-Red Goblins / Sacrifice.
Yep.
So there are a lot of goblins in black and red, going back to in Lorwyn when we saw a lot of goblins in both black and red. What I love about these is some of them are even callbacks to familiar goblins, a la some of the stuff we did in the Time Spiral block, right? So Sling Gang Lieutenant,
Right.
Right.
obviously a callback to Siege Gang Commander.
Right.
Right. And Pashalik Mons is a callback to the flavor text of the original Mons' Goblin Raiders from Alpha.
And that's insane, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a deep
You
cut.
can't go any
Yeah.
farther back.
That's That's crazy, actually. I didn't even make that connection into just now. That's really cool.
Did everybody else know that it was, I'm asking chat, hopefully everybody else knew that it was a callback to Mon's Goblins Raiders. I didn't recognize that at first. I had to be told because that is, as Mark said, a very, very deep cut. All things
So
considered.
we don't see any on the screen here, but a lot of these goblins can sacrifice any permanent, including lands, and so that'll become relevant. You may want to play some of these goblins in some of your other decks that care about lands in the graveyard.
Such as our next archetype,
we go.
red-green lands in graveyard, perhaps?
Red-green lands in graveyard.
Perhaps. Let's take a look at lands in graveyard. We got Ruination Rider, Spring Bloom Druid, and Scale Guardian. Love the callback to Harrow on Spring Bloom Druid. That is a very powerful effect, and you stapled it to a 1/1. What are you madmen thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this archetype, more than some of the others even, was very much inspired by the Modern format. Like, what is one of the things that defines Modern? Fetch lands. Where do the fetch lands end up? In the graveyard. Everybody who's playing more than one color has lands in the graveyard. And so you see these cards that care about lands in the graveyard all the way from common all the way up to mythic rare.
Right.
That's really good.
The cost reduction on that Scale Guardian is just insane, right? Like if you have 5 lands in the graveyard, which is not a huge ask for Modern decks, it just costs RR. You're going to 4/4 flying hasty guy for RR.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Pretty saucy.
It's a ridiculous rate. Looking at the next one, it's green-white Creature Fall. Obviously, Creature Fall is not a keyword in this set, but a callback to the landfall keyword. So creatures come onto the battlefield, something happens.
I played this one in the employee pre-release. It worked very well for me. Good Fortune Unicorn is very good, especially if you have 2 of them out. There are a lot of cards that make multiple tokens, which can really add up quickly.
You want to talk about a card that wrecked people in the pre-release? Look at Battle Screech. Good lord.
Yeah, the last time we ran this card, I believe, was in Vintage Masters, and it was a common there, and it was too strong, and we were like, oh god, why did we do that? So it's an uncommon this time. You won't see it as often.
Card's so insane.
That's really
powerful.
good,
Like,
9 times out of 10, I saw people just cast this for 4 and then immediately get 2 more. You're looking at it's.
Right.
If I were to be playing limited or draft, that's kind of what I would go for. Is that type of guaranteed to have creatures and like be able to build up pretty fast and run away with games and stuff.
There's another card that makes a 1/1 soldier token and has buyback. So once you get to turn 4, you can cast it every turn. Get your creature fall every turn.
Right.
And it's great.
Yeah, and Ethan mentioned this earlier, but this in combination with the blue-white blink stuff we saw earlier, it's just not hard to be hitting through different means to be hitting that fall every single turn multiple times. It just stacks up so quickly.
Love it, love it. My favorite thing about that Battle Screech card is that it reminds me a lot of casting Lingering Souls in Modern.
Yeah.
Very, very similar effect, and that is extremely powerful. It's an extremely powerful effect. Let's take a look at the enemy-colored archetypes, because there are enemy-colored archetypes here too, which is cool for a limited set. Let's look at white-black Changeling Tribal. Right. Changeling Tribal is a thing that's happening here.
Changeling
Ethan.
Tribal is exciting because what you get to do is you take all of your changelings and then you just take any tribal lord that you find that's in your colors. So you can get your goblin reward. We have a zombie reward here on the screen. You can put your slivers in here, anything you find, and it will make all of your changelings better. So it's fun because it's going to be very different from limited deck to limited deck, because the lords you get are different and the effects that they give you are going to be different.
Such as, for example, I think it's King of the Pride,
right?
Which gives all of your other cats +2/+1, which means, and all changelings are obviously cats. So suddenly, if you slam this, all of your guys get a +2/+1 buff.
Yep. Yeah, or a Eula, Queen Among Bears. I guess that's a green card, so you might not be playing here. But I just can't stop plugging a Eula.
every chance you get, I really, really love this this King of the Pride effect. There's some other really great effects, such as we'll see it towards the end, but of course people know that slivers are in this set. Changelings obviously work very well with slivers as well.
And just the presence of all these changelings at lower rarities allowed us to put some wacky tribal lords in here that just wouldn't fit in very many other sets. And we were just like, we can do this because it'll work in limited, right?
Right. If you are playing changelings, remember Changelings are also goats, and Goat Nap is in the set. So it's just
That's right.
my public
Be
service
careful.
announcement.
Be careful.
They're also cowards.
They are also cowards.
They're
yeah.
also cowards, so cowards can't block warriors. Remember that.
One thing to note about changelings that they are not is they are not snow creatures.
Correct.
Right.
Snow is a
So
super type.
If
right?
there is a card that cares about snow in some way, changelings don't count for that.
Well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. You know, snow is in the set.
Well,
We're
that's
not there
good to
quite
know.
yet.
Yeah.
That's good to know right there. That was valuable
Good to
information.
snow.
It's-
Good to snow, right?
Exactly.
That was for that guy in the chat that said that they were just here for the Steve puns. So there you go. Sorry, Blake. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not sorry. Let's go on to the next archetype. The very aptly named "You Are Draw Cards." Draw cards. This,
go.
of course, is going to be Blake's
That's a new
favorite.
archetype, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to draw cards.
Yeah. What's the best part about playing Magic, right? Is drawing cards, or so I've heard.
Absolutely,
Best
yeah.
part of Magic. So many, when you draw a card, when you draw a second card, when you draw this card, that card, so many of that in this set. I don't think there's more of a iconic thing for red and blue than drawing cards, Ethan. It feels just so very on brand.
I mean, it's very very card gamey. I mean, don't sleep on things like cycling. Right, cycling is part of its effect is it draws a card. So those go in your deck here. Any sort of looting effects or these cantrips that we have on the screen here, scour all possibilities. Right.
There's even a draw card spell, I think, that's splice onto instant or sorcery.
Right. That's going to be a good one.
Splice onto instant or sorcery is a thing in this, by the way. There's so many mechanics in here. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Modern Horizons, which has how many keywords and mechanics in it?
It depends how you count them. I think the informal count was 40 plus.
40 something?
Yeah.
It's a lot of mechanics. It's a lot of mechanics.
Usually we try to limit ourselves. We're going to have between 3 and 5 mechanics per set. This time we did the opposite. How many mechanics can we fit in this set?
Obviously, a lot of people see this set as sort of a spiritual successor to the stuff we did in Time Spiral.
Absolutely.
Count on keywords between Time Spiral block and this, which is, are they comparable? Is it more? Is it less?
I think we ended up with more than Time Spiral. Not more than the whole Time Spiral block,
Sure.
but I think more than
Than just Time Spiral? Interesting.
Yeah.
That thing had so many keywords. Like I've never. It's like this is like keyword soup. It's like if you buy, it's oops all keywords for Magic.
And it was very much that from the very beginning. The very first prototype of this set had tons of keywords in it, and it was all about what is the fun of combining these things together that normally never get to combine together.
All right. Well, speaking of combining things, you're going to get to combine your regular cards with your graveyard cards with this next archetype, black-green graveyard. And of course, there's a bear just for you, Ethan. There's a bear just for you.
Thanks, creative team.
So pretty self-explanatory. This is Golgari often in Ravnica-related sets have graveyard shenanigans, although shenanigans not a green or black card.
It is a graveyard-related card.
It is a graveyard-related card, not a green or black card.
Yeah, this is a very classic black-green archetype, right? Find a way to get things into your graveyard and then abuse those things for fun and profit. All right, so if you can get your mother bear into your graveyard, you get 2 bear tokens. If you can get something into your graveyard, you can unearth it. And Rot Widow Pack just eats things out of the graveyards and turns them into spiders.
So of note, there's a card here called Unearth, and the mechanic Unearth also shows up in this set. It is on a sliver. The sliver, it's a sliver that says, pay 2. All slivers have Unearth 2.
Right.
So when someone is, as a PSA to all of you out there going to the pre-release, if you have that Unearthed sliver and you are running the card Unearth, you do have to be very specific language-wise as to what you are doing if you are unearthing a sliver. Are you playing the card Unearth, or are you activating the ability of Unearth?
Wow. I didn't even think of
That
That
complication
literally
is
happened
so
to me. That actually happened to me. I was like, okay, so unearth my sliver, and he's like, okay, and he's like, wait, doesn't it go away at the end? I'm like, no, I played this card, Unearth, and they're like, oh my, crazy. So yeah.
Sorry about that.
So next time if we do something like this, think about that.
All
think
right.
about that. So let's move on. Speaking of slivers, my favorite archetype, red-white slivers. Now, Ethan, there are more colored slivers than just in red and white, correct?
Right, there are slivers in every color, but at the lower rarities, they're in white and red. changelings aside, obviously. But yeah, slivers are a unique tribe in that every single sliver is a lord. They all pump up your slivers in some way. Obviously, you want to run changelings in your sliver deck also.
Yep.
So of note, the original slivers affected all slivers on the battlefield, and then when they came back in Magic 2015,
2012, 2014.
2014, that's right, because there were slivers in both core sets. When it came back in Magic 2014, it was just slivers that you control. Those slivers affected only the ones you could control.
Your slivers will have the powers of your own slivers. Your opponent's slivers will have the powers of their own slivers. They don't grant abilities to each other the way they did in the ancient times.
Now, Cassius, you and I were talking before we started the broadcast, and we were talking about how much we want to see a competitive sliver deck in Modern.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I just, I mean, slivers is just, it's so fun. I've got a commander, obviously a slivers commander deck, and I mean, there's a million creatures. Like you said, every single one of them just pumps the other. I have too much fun with this card, but I mean, if I could see it in Modern, it would just be, I don't know, just a little piece inside of me would just be so happy, you know what I'm saying? I think I just would like to see it change Modern in a big way, and I think having slivers, you know, top 8 of Modern would be pretty...
That'd be pretty sweet. I'd love to see that too.
Yeah, the deck was pretty close before Modern Horizons release. I think that it has a decent chance of getting catapulted into the top tables.
Well, time is going to tell on that. Let's go to our final archetype, which is my other favorite archetype. It's blue-green snow. So we know what we're talking about here. It is it's snow permanents, obviously. So it's snow permanents matter. We're looking here at 2 snow creatures, Icefang Quaddle and Abominable Treefolk, and you can see that both of them care about the number of snow permanents you control, stuff like that. So this is something we haven't seen since Cold Snap.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing back then. That wasn't even...
Cold Snap was a while ago.
One of the things you're going to see is the snow mana symbol. We don't actually have it on the screen here, but it's a little snowflake mana symbol. And what that means is you can pay that cost with any mana from a snow permanent. So the main way you're going to get that is with the basic lands that come with the set, which are snow basic lands, snow-covered islands, snow-covered plains.
So a good example of a permanent that might have a snow symbol and mana cost might be Arkham's Astrolabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to want to draft these basic lands. Normally, a lot of people just throw the basic lands in the middle of the table and don't bother to draft them. For Modern Horizons, don't do that. Right. Keep the basic lands in your pack because one of the or more of the players at your table might be wanting to draft the snowlands.
So for those of you that have that have played Magic for a little bit, it's similar to having to draft the wastes basic lands from Oath of the Gatewatch.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we're doing snow here. I know that a lot of people were asking for it to come back. It seems like a really good opportunity to not just bring it back, but be able to do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do in a standard set.
Yeah, it is just the kind of wacky mechanic that seemed like it was perfectly at home in this very self-indulgent set.
Shovel Mage, you're speaking my language. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we're those are the 10 archetypes. Just to go through them once again. That's white, blue, blink, blue, black ninjas, black, red goblins / sacrifice, red, green lands and graveyard, green, white creature fall, white, black changeling tribal, blue, red draw cards, black, green graveyard, red, white slivers, and of course blue, green snow. Now, when you go to a pre-release, whether it's draft or sealed, you're going to be opening up a bunch of packs, regardless. And opening up packs, easily one of my favorite things to do. It just feels so good when you crack open a pack and you get to see it for the first time. In addition to opening a bunch of packs, and we'll get to what you get in a pack in a second, you will also get a special pre-release foil, pre-release promo. So that pre-release promo is Astral Drift, which is a riff on Astral Slide. And so this is normally, you correct me if I'm wrong, you get to play your pre-release promo in your pool, but this time that's not the case.
Yeah, in other pre-releases they're randomized. You get it in your box and you're allowed to play with it. In this case, everyone's going to get the same card. It's this, and so don't put it into your deck. It's just a promotion to use later.
Yeah, don't do it. You're not. The judge will be called, and you're going to have to change your deck, and it's going to be a whole thing. But you do get this sweet pre-release card, and that's excellent. The other thing that you get to do this weekend is buy a box. You can buy a box of Modern Horizons at pre-release, and with that you get, of course, the buy box promo, which is Flusterstorm.
Yep.
So in a pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no lie.
Just throw that in there for you.
Yeah. Just gonna throw a Flusterstorm there for you. Flusterstorm, which is also not in the main set, but is now modern legal.
Yep.
It is a Modern Horizons card. It is part of the set.
Man, so good. That's just so good.
We just like
Tempted to
surprising
buy
you
them.
with cool stuff
It
when you
makes
come
me
onto the
giddy,
show.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan more than anything, dude. It's
I love casting me a Flusterstorm. It just feels so good.
so good.
It feels so good to cast a
yeah.
Flusterstorm.
Absolutely.
So in a pack, you'll be getting 15 magic cards, so 14 magic cards with the general rarity breakdown and a basic land. That basic land will be a snow full art basic land. Whether you are drafting or doing sealed, you're going to want to make that a part of your pool so that you can use it to pay snow costs, to do snowfall. See what I did there? It's like creature fall or landfall, but
flurry of
snowfall.
puns.
Ah, yes. Yes, this is what happens when you're gone, Blake. I get people who are on board with my shenanigans of puns. It's great. It's my favorite. So you get all of those things, but in addition to that, you get two other things in the pack. You get a token, which 1 in 4 of those are going to be foil.
Yeah, so we took, we wanted to, going into this, we wanted to kind of elevate every single thing in there. So the cards, you've seen them, they're amazing. The packaging, we brought like a special gold foil treatment for that. But when we got to the token, we said, let's make every token special. So 3 out of 4 times, it's a double-sided token, which there's some great tokens there. There's a squirrel token and some great stuff.
Merit Lage.
Merit Lage, yeah, you get the Merit Lage.
Shapeshifter with Changeling.
Right.
Yep. New arts.
So the great tokens, you will often get a double-sided. 1 in 4, your foil, your token will be foil. And we also did what we call the frame foil technique. So again, we just wanted to like mix it up, and it's been a long time since we've used this, but it's an approach where we just kind of foil out the frame of the card, but not the art itself. So it just gives it like a real distinct look. It's something we did a long time ago.
Right, the original foils from with the old border were kind of like
With the shooting star on the bottom. Yeah.
And so we said, let's bring that back and just like, it's just a little kind of a twist people aren't expecting. So 1 out of 4 times your token will be foil, and then look closely, you'll notice it's this frame foil technique.
Nice, very cool. So is that every token in the set, including the emblems, has a chance to show up foil?
Yes.
Wow. Foil emblems for Sarah and for Ren and 6.
Hey, you know that makes me happy.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll get those, and on top of that, we're doing something really cool. First time we've ever done it. The art series cards, which I have one on the table right here, and we'll cut to that.
Yeah.
This is Urza, the Urza art. I grabbed this from my desk. I opened this and I thought it looked cool, so I thought I'd bring it down. You get 1 of these in every pack.
Every
right?
single pack, yep. And it displaces nothing. It's not knocking anything out. It's just an extra thing we threw in there. When we were going, very early on in the set, we realized like the art is going to be crazy for this set. We're bringing back artists, we're doing gags, we're just going all out. We're depicting things that, like Urza, that we just haven't seen in these ways. And so we said, what's a cool thing we could do to kind of elevate and celebrate the art we're going to have in this set? And so a lot of us worked together, and this was the idea that we came up with. So yeah, they're just beautiful things to own. You can, they're not cards that you're casting, but they're hopefully things that you'll find something fun to do with. So
and on the back.
Yep.
Thank you, Ethan.
It's more or less blank, right? And so if you want to bring this to the artist and get them to sign it or put a sketch on the back or do anything, this is a cool potential way to interact with people.
Well, on top of that, there are 54 of them. 54 of these you made. You madman. 54 of them. That's so many.
Yeah, we went, we picked out, we did as many as we could. There's kind of production constraints, but we ended up with 54. We thought a lot about how they would slot into a binder. So Cynthia Shepard, we did a lot of work to think about the order and the sequence they go in. So if anybody at home does collect all 54 and puts them in order in a binder, it's a sight to behold. It's really just like a beautiful way to flip through the crazy world of Modern Horizons.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really great. I'm a fan. Yeah, it's we saw there's so many of these, and the art on Magic cards is so cool. This is a great way to sort of blow them up and give people a little more of that detail. I know that There are some real fan favorite artists featured on these artist cards, including, of course, Seb McKinnon. Noah Bradley, I think, has one or two of them here, too. So there are a lot of Ryan Pancoast's Mox Tantalite also featured. So there are some really great fan favorite cards. Both Sarah and Renin 6 are an artist series card. So you can find a full list of that on an article on WeeklyMTG if you're interested in that. But if you want to be surprised, you can always just open these up and slowly collect them as you see the 54. Yeah,
and even just going a little bit bigger than the regular Magic art frame, you'll just be surprised by how much detail you can see. We did a special kind of varnish coating on them so that they just kind of pop in a way that our normal Magic cards look a little different. So yeah, I hope people like them.
Yeah, for sure. So pre-release, you're going to get, for draft, it'll be regular draft, 3 packs. For sealed, normally we would give people a pre-release kit. That's not the case for this, right? It's just going to be loose packs. So you'll get 6 packs to build your sealed deck. You'll open it up, you'll build the sealed as normal, and you'll just get to play some really great Modern Horizons limited games. Very exciting. Yeah, very good. So keep all the questions coming. I do have a question that I think you would be really well tailored to answer, Ethan. It says, the question is, the number for Modern Horizons is MH1. Does that mean we will be seeing this type of set annually from now on? I know you had a lot of fun making this set, but you know.
I mean, I would love to make another set like this. We're certainly not planning to come out with a Modern Horizons every year, but I think that might be a little too much awesomeness for Modern to handle. But a lot of it is going to depend on the response to the set. Like if people buy it, if the audience likes it, then yeah, we've set up the expansion code in such a way that we can make a sequel.
Well, if you want to see more Modern Horizons, if you like this type of thing, go to pre-release. Get a box of Modern Horizons, draft with your friends, like engage with the set, say how much you love it. If there's a set survey, talk about how much you love the product and how much you love the design of the set, because it is really cool. It is like props to you, Ethan, and to Mark Rosewater and Adam Prosak and all the people that worked. I know it was a real labor of love for the team in the tabletop studio.
Yeah, it was absolutely fun. We, normally we have to make Magic sets for everybody, and this time we got to make a Magic set for ourselves. And, I hope the rest of you enjoy it. But
I think in turn you really did create a set for everybody. Just speaking from my point of view, like I love this set, dude. I'm thinking about it all the time. I mean, there's so many different decks and different formats that it affects, dude. I mean, it's Modern Horizon, but I think this, like I said earlier, I think this set kind of changes a lot of different formats in a big way.
Let's talk about that.
In all seriousness, we did design the set for every enfranchised Magic player, and the only people that we really left out in the cold are people who don't know how to play Magic yet.
Well, in that case, they should come to pre-release and jump into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Jump in the deep end of the pool.
That's definitely fine for some people.
Best way to learn how to swim, right?
Exactly. You gotta jump in sometime. Let's talk about different formats. Thank you, Trick, for putting the pre-release locator into the chat. So, chat, if you want to find a pre-release, if you're excited about that, click that link that Trick Jarrett just put into the Twitch chat. Let's talk about Modern Horizons in different formats, because obviously, really fun limited set. Lots of cards with applications for Modern, but lots of cards with applications for other formats as well. I mean, obviously, the card that we were just looking at the art for, Urza, I've heard Commander players talking about Urza a lot. I mean, Cash, you are a big Commander player.
Yeah.
What do you think about cards like Urza? Like, what cards have you excited for Commander?
Urza is probably my #1 card for the set. As just as far as commanders are concerned, I think it's super OP. I mean, artifacts in Commander are already powerful enough, and the different things that you can do with them. But now you've got a commander that just, I mean, it's so easy to go infinite with that card. Paradox, you play Paradox Engine, basically you're infinite and you're playing blue. Draw out your deck, win the game. I mean, to me it's just, and then Echo of Eons right there with it. I mean, there's just, the list goes on, and there's too many good cards for Commander. So.
The card I'm most excited about for Commander is Sisay Weatherlight Captain.
All right, okay.
I love to win with janky cards in Commander, and I love to build my deck around a creative theme. So Sisay is great because she has all the colored mana symbols in her text box. You can play any color card in your commander deck with her. So you can play all of the members of the Weatherlight crew, past and present, and all of the pieces of the Legacy in your deck, and just go for maximum Flavor Town and try to win somehow with Weakstone and Juju Bubble and Gerard Capuchin and such.
Any picks for commander for you, Mark?
I'm a Morophon guy. I like the
get your Morophon.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. I have
yeah.
like an advisor deck. I have a bunch of decks that are kind of like I've been looking for a commander they're a great deck, but I could kind of swap in the commander, and all of a sudden Morophon shows up, and it's a slam dunk. So yeah, a lot of possibilities.
One of the fun fact for the audience out there that is attending pre-release, there is a card in the set called Goblin Matron, which allows you to search your deck, search your library for a goblin card and put it into your hand. Guess what, everybody? Morophon is technically a goblin, so you can search it up with Goblin Matron. You can tutor for changelings with cards like Goblin Matron, which is one of the most cool, I think one of the coolest things about the format. There are all these weird synergies. Mark mentioned Goat Nap earlier, where you can Goat Nap a changeling and then it gets +2/+0.
There are some very strong synergies here, and that means that the 10 deck archetypes that we outlined are just the tip of the iceberg as far as what you can build. Like there are some crazy decks lurking out there that I'm sure people will discover as they get deeper and deeper into the format.
I love the Trick is hanging out in chat and trying to do auto card. He did auto card for Urza, and it was like 86 cards found with the word Urza in it. Let's talk about some of the other cards that we're excited about in this set. Because like Commander's great. I feel like every set has something awesome, or like a ton of awesome things for Commander these days, because you can play any card in the format, right? What about something like Legacy and Vintage, right? Like obviously this is meant for Modern, but there are some cards here that seem to have application for other formats as well.
We had some definite Vintage fans on the design team, and there were a couple of cards that we specifically designed for Vintage. One of them is Collector Oof. So this is it's a 2-mana 2/2 green, essentially bear. It's not actually a bear creature type, but
it's an oof.
But it also has the rules text from Null Rod, which is one of the pillar cards of Vintage. Like this is an entire quadrant of Vintage, right? And so, but the types of decks that Null Rod enables are these creature-based disruptive aggro decks. And so Collector Oof is just tailor-made for that kind of deck. It itself is now a creature, and it's disruptive, and it attacks the foundation of the format, which is fast mana artifacts.
Oofs, no fast mana.
Yeah.
No fast mana. Oops, no fast mana.
And then Shenanigans is another one. This is
I can't believe you guys named a card Shenanigans. It's just like...
I can't believe we hadn't already.
Yeah.
Give
us
a good
some credit.
That's a good point.
That's a better
Good point.
Yeah, so Shenanigans destroys an artifact, and it has Dredge. So instead of drawing a card, for whatever reason you might be drawing a card, if you don't want to draw a random card, you can just dredge this, which means you put it from you put a card from your library into your graveyard, and then put this card into your hand from your graveyard. So you can cast it every turn if you want to, if you're facing down, some sort of shop's prison deck or whatever.
No.
And so yeah, I think it has a lot of potential in Vintage as well.
Cash, what are you thinking? You like seeing Shenanigans as a card?
I love that. I love the art for it too. Honestly, I mean, I think that's a great common. I mean, that's a really good common. Popper. Maybe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if is Artifacts a big deck for Popper.
I don't know. Have to.
Pauper fans, if you're in the chat, tell us.
Yes,
Seems
please
like
tell us.
Affinity's got to be a thing there, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
There's so many good Affinity cards at common.
Cash, I know you play Legacy. You have a Legacy deck.
I do.
Anything you like from the set that you're thinking about? Any your brewer's mind getting going there?
I think we had talked about the Echo of Eons. I think that with the combined with Lion's Eye Diamond
Woof.
is just
Right.
Not oof. Woof.
I won't take the credit for finding that reference, my man right here. Figured that out. I'm kind of taking his thunder a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I think the combination of those two is just kind of ridiculous.
Right, because to pay the cost for Lion's Eye Diamond, you have to discard your hand to get 3 mana. Well, this has flashback for 3 mana, so you get to draw a whole new hand right off of your Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah,
right.
Seems a little busted, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what the set design team had to cool that.
Well, I mean, let's also note that there are cards like Leovold, Emissary of Trust, Narset, Parter of Veils, cards that don't allow your opponent to draw cards.
It's true.
Right.
So it's not only are you Lion's Eye Diamonding and getting a fresh 7, you are mind twisting your opponent for their entire hand.
Right.
Wow.
Which is real gross. Real gross.
Oh wow, that is super gross. Oh, I didn't even put that together.
And Cassius is like, oh, it's time.
Legacy is scary.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow, that's brutal.
Oh yeah, super brutal. Trick says that affinity is indeed a thing.
All right.
So,
All right.
so affinity is a thing in
yes,
Pauper.
Pauper.
In Pauper. Of course, I'm surprised that you didn't mention Ayula again as a card that you were excited to play in Commander.
Oh, absolutely. I have a bear tribal deck with Surrak Dragonclaw as my commander these days.
Surrak punch many bears.
Yeah. I'm really on the fence about whether Ayula is supposed to go in the 99, and then or to become the new commander. Then I lose out on all of my blue and red cards in my bear deck. But
I mean, how many blue and red bears are there actually, though?
There's Phantasmal Bear.
Okay, that counts.
There's
yeah.
the Venerian Gold. It's not just bears; it's all the cards with bears in the art too.
Oh, okay. Well, have you talked to Graham Stark at all about his deck, Bear Force 1?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've yeah.
Bear Force.
Mine is called the Ursatron.
You're a monster. Oh wow! So for those of you that watch game nights on Cash, you've been a guest on game nights. I know that. The next one, they said this on a recent one. Jimmy and Josh are playing with Graham and Kathleen from Loading Ready Run, and with Modern Horizons Legends as their commanders.
Cool.
And Graham, spoiler alert, apparently is playing Bear Force 1 with Ayula. So
Excellent.
So that'll be one to look out
I
for.
did see that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
How good could it really be?
Whoa!
You don't play bears because they're good.
But we're talking about command zone here. You know? Like, it's all about competing and getting a dub.
You play bears because you want to win with Jank.
Okay.
You want to win with
if you
style.
win with bears, then it's just that more.
The win with
ultimate.
bears is incredibly satifying.
Okay, that's
Not
what
only
we're
do you
going
get the
for.
win, you have the moral high ground.
You're chasing this. Okay, I get
the
it.
higher high.
Right,
Yeah.
If you're
don't get it
if bears
as
aren't punching people, Chat Trick says, if you're not reading chat, Trick says the next game night's releases on June 12th. June 12th.
Right.
So that's next Wednesday. So not too long to wait to see some cool Commander shenanigans. Not the card, although maybe they will run the card. Who knows? it's pretty sweet. Let's see here. Talk about going down. Chat, if you have more questions, please put them in the chat. I don't see a ton of questions, but we're just going to keep talking about cards that we like until I see more questions. What are some a card that I'm really excited about is Deep Forest Hermit, the throwback to obviously Deranged Hermit from Urza's Legacy.
Yep.
I love this card because, in my opinion, it is a better version of Deranged Hermit. The echo cost is really steep on that. But here, you pay it once, you get it for 3 turns. And if you flicker it, you get it for another 3 turns. Right. That's crazy. It's not so. All I want to do is play this with white flicker. So I just want to go green-white and have flicker for this card. That's what I want out of this.
Yeah, I saw at the pre-release, I walked by a table and they had 15 squirrel tokens in play.
15?
They were at 15, so it's possible. The dream.
That's so many.
Yeah,
that's one more than 14.
it's an entire more than 14.
That's enough to kill Emrakul.
That's the ultimate measure of squirrels. An Emrakul's worth of squirrels.
I'm excited about the first sliver.
Yep.
I think my very first commander deck actually was a sliver deck, and it was led by Sliver Queen.
Of course.
And we've made a bunch of legendary 5-color slivers over the years, and I just think this one is the most exciting, the most fun looking to me. I love cascading. I just love, like, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'm going to get something, and it's going to be cool. And just not knowing what sliver you're going to get and like what's going to happen from game to game is going to be so much fun with this card.
Yeah.
First sliver is pretty nutso. Really, really gross.
I love it. I love it down to the name, the first sliver. You
Right.
know what I mean? It just, I don't.
Yeah, there's a story implied there.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, it's so good, man. The art is dope. Sitting on all the eggs, I love it, man. And I mean, obviously, it's super overpowered. If you get this, and you can get a couple casts afterwards, I mean,
Right.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's really possible. I mean,
In Legacy, or I mean, in Commander, anything is.
so the dream for me in Limited is to play Morophon, and then get this out for free.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's
right.
that's
That
the
is
dream.
That is a dream.
That's what I want.
Right.
I want to do it at some point during
Those are
Modern Horizons
both,
Limited.
both mythic rares, right? Though?
It's possible in
So-
draft, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody might pass the first sliver. It's not the most castable thing,
It's
right?
true. It's true.
So we're starting to get some requests for questions here, or question requests. Somebody says, talk about Yaga Moth. Let's bring up Yaga Moth on the screen. Sean,
Yeah.
let's bring up Yaga Moth
Super
on the
good
screen.
card, yeah.
This card is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
It's like broken, busted, ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is, first of all, it is a human, but it has protection from humans. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Has protection from itself, technically.
I mean, Yaga Moth was the villain of the original Magic storyline, and so for years and years and years, we were like, he's too cool. We can't make a card out of him. Which I don't know about that as a philosophy, to be honest. But we decided that if we were going to make Yaga Moth, we were going to go all in and
Right.
make him extremely good, extremely powerful,
So good.
and also just extremely beautiful. Look at that guy. It's
Yeah.
really those eyes.
Just wait till you see a foil.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I love that there's synergy with -1/-1 counters here, and that ability, of course, proliferate, or as I like to call it, proliferate.
There you go.
Ability is proliferate.
Yeah, it's fun because there's so many things you can do with Proliferate. There's
Right.
so many different types of decks you can enable with it.
I mean, to me, like it being a sack engine, drawing the card, putting them like it also has potential for creature destruction with the -1/-1 counter. You got the, I
Right.
mean, it's just the two abilities interact so well with each other. I mean, it's another great commander. If you're looking to build an all-black commander, like this is going to be up there with the other good ones that are
absolutely. I'm seriously
in the mix.
considering building a deck around this one myself.
Yeah.
I
really good.
actually want Yaga Moth in the 99 of my Shirei deck so that I can just sacrifice
There you go.
1/1s and continue to proliferate.
Yeah, the ability to sacrifice creatures for no mana is
Right.
deceptively valuable in Commander. There are
Yes.
so many situations where somebody's like, I'm going to exile all of your permanents. Like, well, I don't think so. They're going to my graveyard.
And then
guess
I'm
what?
gonna bring 'em
They're
back.
coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, exactly. And you get the value from it as well.
Yeah.
You're not just, it's pretty ridiculous.
This card is really this guy Urza. It feels like they're really living up to their to the legend of Yaga Moth and Urza.
Yeah, we knew we had
Yeah.
to do those characters justice because they're
sure.
two of the most important characters in the whole story.
Let's talk about Sarah a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about Sarah.
That's a pretty huge
Sarah
part of the
Benevolent.
set.
Yeah.
Sarah the
Oh,
Benevolent.
man. I
That was one of the
I
first.
wanted to make this card for years.
Right.
Ever since I started working here, I was like, oh, I want to make a Sarah Planeswalker card. It'd be so cool.
Yes.
And yeah, we finally got to do it. And each one of her 3 abilities references a card from Magic's past that either had her name somewhere on it or had her in the art somewhere.
So the +2 is Sarah's Blessing.
Sarah Aviary.
Sarah
from
Aviary, that's right.
Homelands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then -3 is, of course, Sarah Angel.
Right, the classic Sarah Angel that should be familiar to almost all Magic players.
And -6 is Worship,
Worship.
Right.
correct?
Right.
Oof. And of course, as we said earlier, that emblem is available in foil. So you do have the opportunity to collect that in foil if you so desire from Modern Horizons booster packs.
You can worship after one plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
You on turn, the
ridiculous.
second turn it's on the board, you
Right.
can worship it.
And it's an emblem.
It's
You
an
can't
emblem,
interact
right.
with that.
Exactly.
Right, it's not
You
going
can't
away.
get rid of it. Somebody requested that we talk about Hexdrinker, a card that
Yeah.
I am very excited about. That's a Hexdrinker is a green creature, costs 1 green,
Yep.
and it has level up. It is, I think, the only instance of level up in the entire set, a mechanic that I really enjoyed from Rise of the Eldrazi.
Yep.
Level up costs 1. It is base stat 2/1, so a Savannah Lions in green. That's the floor. The ceiling is a 6/6 protection from everything. So for 9 mana, a 6/6 protection from everything can be yours for the
Right,
low, low
you
price
can
of
pay
9
that
mana
in
across multiple
as
turns.
many installments as you want
Right.
on whatever schedule you like, because it's just 1 mana level up.
Right.
So
One generic mana.
yeah, 1
Right.
mana
That.
of any color. So this seems very powerful to me. I would not be surprised to see it on high level Modern tournaments.
So somebody asked, what is this and how does it work? This is a card called Hexdrinker. It's from the expansion Modern Horizons. I'm not being facetious. Hexdrinker costs 1 mana and it has the mechanic Level Up, which debuted in Rise of the Eldrazi. Ethan, can you explain Level Up in a way that our watchers might be able to understand?
So Level Up is an activated ability, and the cost in this case is 1 mana of any color, 1 generic mana. You can pay that to put a level counter on it, but you can only do that when you could cast a sorcery. So during your main phase when the stack is empty. So you can't just like wait around until your opponent's end step and dump a bunch of mana in this. You need to commit up front. But yeah, so these things are, they can become very powerful just because it's always powerful to be able to spend all your mana on something, and you're not always going to have the spells in hand that you need, and you can sink any extra mana into leveling up your Hexdrinker. So it can become very powerful just over the course of the game.
So the level is equal to the number of level up counters that are on it.
Oh yeah, right. If you look
think
at
about
the,
it starts at level 0,
right.
essentially.
So
yeah.
the way the card works is you kind of ignore everything below that line where it says level up at first. So it's a 2/1 at first, and then once it gets up to level 3, it becomes the creature in the middle there. It has protection from instants and is a 4/4. And then once you get up to level 8 or higher, you pay attention to the bottom section there where it says protection from everything, and it's a 6/6.
Right.
So yeah, it starts out as a 2/1, becomes a 4/4 with protection from instants from levels 3 through 7, and then is 6/6 protection from everything at level 8 and higher.
Right, and even at the middle level there, it's surprisingly strong. I mean, instants can't hit it. 4 toughness is a lot. So once you get to there, you have a pretty clear path to get all the way up to level 8, and then you're in business.
Yeah. 6/6 protection from everything is pretty busted.
Right.
Little mini progenitus there, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
It starts out at level 0 when it enters the battlefield. Once again, the level is equal to the number of level up counters on it. That is the way that you should think about it. So the other card, you mentioned Cascade earlier, Ethan, and there is a card with Cascade in here that I think is hilarious. It's called Throes of Chaos. Throes of Chaos. It is 4 mana, right? It's 4 mana.
Yep.
It is 3 generic and 1 red. It reads Cascade Retrace.
2 words.
2 words, Cascade. And I know that people online, and we were even talking about before the show started, that it would be so cool to see a version of this that just had Cascade and Retrace on it.
Right.
It'd be so cool to see that.
2 words and a lot of words of reminder text.
Yeah. So if you know what Cascade and Retrace do, this card's very explanatory. But Cascade, we've been talking about it a lot, but there may be some people in the chat that don't know what Cascade does. So what does Cascade do?
So Cascade, when you cast a Cascade spell, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you find a non-land card with less converted mana cost. So anything 3 or less in this case, and then you can cast that card without paying its mana cost, and then you put the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in any order. So. In Modern, a lot of the way people use this is there are some very powerful cards that have alternate casting costs that happen to have a converted mana cost of 0, and so they'll play a very cheap Cascade spell and cascade into this 0 mana converted mana cost spell.
Cards like Living End, Restore Balance, Ancestral Vision,
Right.
cards that are extremely powerful and have the mechanic Suspend, which is also in this set.
Right.
And then Retrace.
Oh boy.
Retrace is a doozy. It's been a while since we've retraced anything. So You cast a card with Retrace normally, but once it's in your graveyard, or if it got there some other way, you can cast it again by discarding a land card. So in the late game, once you don't need any more lands, I'm up to 7 mana and nothing costs more than 7 in my deck, I'm just going to start discarding these extra lands to retrace my Throes of Chaos and just keep doing that.
Well, if you like random spells, boy, is that the card for you.
God, do
I.
I'll flag that Crashing Footfalls is in the set.
Yeah.
So that makes 2 4/4 rhinos.
Right,
Yup.
that's an example of one of those suspend cards with no regular casting cost. So it counts as converted mana cost 0, which is definitely less than 4.
Right, and if you're Throes of Chaosing into your Crashing Footfalls, you're in green-red, which has a land in the graveyard theme, and all of a sudden Retrace is helping. Like, there's a lot
that's
to do
true.
there.
Yeah, Retrace is beautiful with that limited theme.
Right.
I saw this happen. Mark Rosewater did this 2 days ago.
To you, right? He did this to you.
Well, he did it to somebody next to me.
Okay.
I'd still be recovering if he'd done it to me.
Somebody asked a question. What happens if you cascade your whole deck?
You just shuffle your deck and put it back because you're
not drawing
the cards you don't cast go into back to the bottom of your library in any order. So yeah, you can't kill yourself by cascading.
Yep.
Got it. Cash, let's start. We're running out of time here, unfortunately, but let's do final thoughts. Cash, what are you most excited about for this set? If you can boil it down to like one theme or thing, what are you most excited about?
I'm gonna say probably Slivers.
Yeah.
I think Slivers is probably the one thing I'm most excited about. For the first Sliver being the main thing, Commander. That's like my it's my stuff right there. But seeing it make an appearance in Modern is really the thing that I'm most excited about because Tribal and Modern to me it just it brings me back to when I first started playing and Tribal was like a huge thing.
I love it. Ethan, favorite thing about the set?
The favorite thing for me is just seeing the fans' reactions. It's like every time we do preview season, it's like Christmas, and this feels like the biggest one ever for me.
And when are we making the second Sliver?
We'll put it on the list.
Put it on the list. Mark, most excited about?
I am excited for Renin 6, the new Planeswalker character, which
we should have talked about Renin 6.
Yeah.
Two mana Planeswalker.
So
There's so
good.
many things in this set.
Yeah, it's wild to have a 2-mana Planeswalker at all. It's wild. This power suite, the character is super compelling to me. It's just an amazing package. And again, it's the kind of thing where on every measurable axis, this card, we wouldn't be able to make this almost all the time. The answer has to be no for most sets to pull off something like this. With Modern Horizons, the answer was yes. So it's really exciting.
I'm most excited for the art cards, actually. I'm excited for people to open up the packs and get their hands on those, because it's, like I said, it's completely unlike anything we've ever done before.
The people in R&D have been trading these cards. Like normally with regular Magic cards, everyone's kind of like, I work in Magic R&D, I get Magic cards all the time. It's okay, it's not a big deal, but people are excited about these and trading them. Even the most jaded Magic players.
Collecting all 54s, like you have to.
You got to do it.
Right?
Yeah, it's important. It's a status symbol. So when you pull out your trade binder, the first 9 pages are just like the full set of art cards will be like, these aren't for trade. This is just intimidation factor.
So how many cases do you have to open to get all 54? What's
knows?
the math on
Plenty.
that? Which one of you guys knows it?
I recommend trading.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. We've got some cool stuff coming up over this weekend. MPL Weekly, our weekly show recapping the splits for the MPL. That is actually going to be tomorrow, Friday at noon, due to the fact that Modern Horizons Prerelease is this upcoming weekend, and we want to make sure that people can get out to that. Next week on Weekly MTG, our guest is going to be Jay Parker, who is the new game director for Magic the Gathering Arena. If you're interested in Magic the Gathering Arena, you should come on by, say hello, ask your questions. Blake will be back next week. Unfortunately, I will be out, so you will have 100% less puns and about 50% more information as a result. I want to thank my guests for coming here. Cassius, thanks so much for coming by. Always a pleasure. Ethan, Mark, thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know it's a busy time.
Yeah.
And for everybody out there, thank you for your questions. Head over to Modern Horizons Pre-Release. Check out that link in the chat that Trick put to see where you can go to sling some cards this weekend. That's going to do it for us. Have a great day.
Oh, we rolling?
He just cued us.
I have headphones. I heard. Hey, Magic fans, I'm Marshall Sutcliffe.
And I'm Becca Scott.
And we just wanted to tell you that this week the Spark Split is going to be on Friday instead of Saturday. That's 12 p.m. Pacific time. What are they going to see, Marshall?
They're going to find out who advances to the top 16 at the Arena Mythic Championship and advances from their Spark Split.
That's a big deal. Make sure you tune in. We'll see you on Friday. Well, you'll see us. Can we see them?